Well, folks, it seems like spring has sprung a leak in the Trump administration, and by leak, I mean a geyser of chaotic policy decisions. March 2025 started with a bang, and by bang, I mean the sound of tariffs slamming down on our neighbors to the north and south. That's right, despite promises and handshakes, Mexico and Canada are now facing a 25% tariff on all imports. And because nothing says amicable trade relations like a good old-fashioned trade war, China got slapped with an extra 10% tariff on their goods too. Now, you might be wondering, why all the tariff-ying around? Well, according to the administration, it's all about getting tough on immigration, drug trafficking, and, just generally showing the world who's boss. Of course, critics are saying these tariffs will do more harm than good, hurting American consumers and businesses in the process. But hey, who needs affordable groceries and a stable economy when you can have a trade war, right? Let's be clear, folks, tariffs aren't just some abstract economic concept, they have real-world consequences. These new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China are like a triple whammy of bad news for American consumers. Remember that avocado toast you love so much? Get ready to pay a lot more for it because avocados are largely imported from Mexico. And that new car you've been eyeing? Yeah, those steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada are going to make it a lot more expensive. But it's not just about individual consumers feeling the pinch. These tariffs are disrupting global supply chains, hurting American businesses that rely on imports. And who do you think ultimately bears the brunt of these increased costs? You guessed it, it's you, the American consumer. So next time you're at the checkout counter and your grocery bill is higher than usual, you can thank the Trump administration's trade policies. As you can imagine, the stock market wasn't exactly thrilled about Trump's tariff palooza. I mean, who needs stability and predictability when you can have a president who announces major economic policies on a whim? On the day the tariffs were announced, the S&P 500, which is kind of a big deal in the stock market world, took its biggest nosedive of the year, plummeting by 1.8%. And the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite? Well, let's just say it went into a full-blown meltdown, dropping over 3% and flirting with what's known as a correction, which is Wall Street's fancy way of saying things are really bad. Now, I'm no financial advisor, but even I can tell you that when the stock market throws a tantrum like this, it's not a good sign for the economy. It shows that investors are worried, uncertain, and lacking confidence in the future. And when investors get spooked, they tend to pull back their money, which can lead to slower economic growth, job losses, and a whole host of other unpleasantries. So yeah, the stock market's reaction to these tariffs was basically the financial equivalent of a giant neon sign flashing warning danger ahead. In the midst of all this tariff chaos, there was one glimmer of good news for the U.S. economy. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC for short, which just so happens to be the world's largest contract chip maker, decided to make a massive $100 billion investment in American manufacturing over the next 4 years. That's right, $100 billion, with a B. That's enough money to buy Elon Musk a small island, and he'd still have some left over for a rocket to get there. Now you might be thinking, that's great news. More jobs, more investment, what's not to like? And you'd be right to think that. This is a huge win for the U.S., bringing much-needed investment and jobs in the crucial semiconductor industry. But let's not forget that this investment didn't happen in a vacuum. It came after years of pressure from the Trump administration, which has been pushing hard to boost domestic chip production. So while we can all celebrate this win for the U.S. economy, let's also acknowledge the role that government pressure played in making it happen.